Hi folks, Seth Leapson here. Thanks for watching my monologue. In these uncertain times, you may be thinking about personal protection. If you are, I urge you to visit my friends at Guns Etc. They'll help you find the perfect protection for yourself and your family, and they can even teach you how to use it. They've been protecting Arizonans for over 33 years, and they stand for the great principles this country was founded upon. Or you can just click on gunsetcetera.com. And if you like my monologues, please subscribe to 960 The Patriots YouTube channel. Welcome back and happy December 22nd, 2020. Teach your children well. You can get that instruction from Crosby, Stills, Nash, as you can from King Solomon. Plato, in his Republic, puts it this way. Shall we just carelessly allow children to hear any casual tales which may be devised by casual persons, and to receive into their minds ideas, for the most part, the very opposite of those which we should wish them to have when they are grown up? We cannot. Anything received into the mind at that age is likely to become indelible and unalterable. And therefore it is most important that the tales which the young first hear should be models of virtuous thought. Then will our youth dwell in a land of health amid fair sights and sounds, receive the good in everything, and beauty, the effluence of fair works, shall flow into the eye and ear, like a health-giving breeze from a purer region, and indelibly draw the soul from the earliest years into likeness and sympathy with beauty of reason. There is no nobler training than that. Now, when you think about that noble training, I think it's worth pointing out that we actually need to be taught that ourselves. I think I know why we need to be instructed in this, and it goes back to how I closed the show yesterday with a quote by Roger Scrutin. He wrote, "All the best things we have, when abused, will cause bad things to happen." You can plant into a child good as much as you can plant into a child bad. You can implant the beauty of reason, or you can implant the ugliness of bad passion. When Allen Ginsberg visited Norman Podhoretz trying to convert him to his leftist countercultural point of view, and Norman was having none of it, Allen departed, saying, "We'll get you through your children." Somehow I think the left understands all this better than we do. Item, take the magazine Teen Vogue. It says its main audience is preteen girls, 10, 11, and 12-year-olds that would be. If you go to its website, you will find article after article praising communism. I don't mean ideas one could call communist. I literally mean communism. They make no bones about it. Who is Karl Marx is the title of one story, and aside from its praise of Marx and communism, it interviews two teachers on how they teach communism in their classroom, presumably so parents or other teachers might learn from them and do the same. You get all kinds of lessons from these teachers, including how violence is what gave birth to capitalism. The last paragraph in this article is this, quote, "While you may not necessarily identify as a Marxist, socialist, or communist, you can still use Karl Marx's ideas to use history and class struggles to better understand how the current socio-political climate in America came to be," close quote. In other words, if the name Marx or the word communist is too hard to swallow, just use the ideas and don't tell them. How do you think it would work if I said, if the word Nazi is too hard, too tough, just use the Nazi ideas? Well, we don't have to think that way. We've spent a lot of time here detailing how much our schools, museums, laws, and other institutions engage in the qualitative dividing of people by race and ethnicity. Something very much part of the Third Reich. You might just say that's the first step to making ideas become in vogue. It's not a one-off column at Teen Vogue, by the way. They have articles praising Vladimir Lenin. They have articles arguing for the abolition of police. Now, in case you thought Teen Vogue was alone, it's not. There's something that reaches even more children, the Cartoon Network. And they've partnered with the National Black Justice Coalition to help instruct children not on matters of race per se, but on the children's own gender. I was going to say sexuality, which would be bad enough, but they go further, gender. In fact, here's a tweet from the Cartoon Network last week. Nearly 1 million Twitter followers, by the way. Quote, "Here's to not only normalizing gender pronouns, but respecting them too. Whether you use he, she, them, or something else, we acknowledge and love you." Love is in all caps. Close quote. By the way, that's for an audience a bit younger than preteens. Cartoons aren't really for 11 and 12-year-olds. They're for children half that age, aren't they? And by the way, in case you wanted to forgive the Cartoon Network for partnering with an anodyne-sounding organization like the National Black Justice Coalition, you should know it's an organization devoted to and dedicated to, as they tell us, serving primarily lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. And by the way, the Cartoon Network tweet links to something called the Gender Justice Toolkit. Ironically enough, if you go to that publication, it opens up with an encouraging quote from Malcolm X. Now, Malcolm X was many things. A supporter of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender lifestyles was not one of them. Indeed, the Nation of Islam is identified by nearly every liberal or left-wing civil rights watchdog group, from the Anti-Defamation League to the Southern Poverty Law Center, as one of the most anti-LGBTQ organizations in the country. But the irony and misdirection from the Gender Justice Toolkit the Cartoon Network links to is not the essence of the problem. The essence of the problem is that we are instructing our youth in a moral education quite the opposite of what you would want, as Plato put it, dwelling in a land of health, amid fair sights and sound, teaching the good in everything, and beauty, the effluence of fair works. Instead, wrongly flowing into their eyes and ears is what we're doing, and not like a health-giving breeze from a purer region, and indelibly drawing their souls from the earliest years into likeness and sympathy, but with the opposite of beauty and reason. An uglier region is where we're sending them. I'm not getting into the whole gender dysphoria issue right here. I'm saying I'm of the belief preteens and younger are too young to be exposed to that issue. Unless, of course, you want to encourage their thinking, just as exposing them to articles promoting the virtues and beneficence of Marxism at a young age is meant to encourage their thinking and train them up in the way that they should go in those directions and with those philosophies and beliefs. Neil Postman, in his book, The Disappearance of Childhood, writes the following, quote, "To have to stand and wait as the charm, malleability, innocence, and curiosity of children are degraded and then transmogrified into the lesser features of future adulthood is painful, embarrassing, and above all else, sad. But I have consoled myself with this thought. If one cannot say anything about how we may prevent a social disaster, perhaps one may also serve or be served by trying to understand why it is occurring." He also wrote this: "Children are a force preserving childhood. They're not a political force, but they're a moral force. Children, it would seem, not only know there is value in being different from adults, but care that a distinction be made. They know, perhaps better than adults, that something terribly important is lost if that distinction is blurred. American culture is hostile to the idea of childhood, but it is comforting, even perhaps exhilarating, to know that children are not." All of which I think is true biconditionally and logically, if and only if adults stop using children as a political force and surcease the propagandizing of them for their own political wishes and mischief. There is no specific democracy youth league in America. Perhaps our common schools were once known to take that job on. What with civic education and teaching of things American, I don't do that anymore. But there are and were, however, communist and Nazi youth leagues, and they supplement the schools in communist and Nazi-run countries, and did. Quote, "Mother named us with communism. We are creating a new world," close quote. Those are the lyrics from the anthem of the Communist Youth League in China today. Aristotle had a good read on it. and modern psychology and other contemporary studies back him up. We teach by habit and precept and by example. Aristotle says that habituation at an early age makes more than a small difference. It makes almost all the difference. But, Aristotle is out, as is Plato, as is the Bible. Maybe Crosby, Stills, and Nash are still in, I'm not sure, but Ginsburg certainly is in, and they are still trying to get us through our children. So when we witness the social disasters all around us, I, like Neil Postman, hope we can begin to understand where they are coming from. It's that the children are carefully taught. I'm Seth Liebson. We'll be right back.